Hello, good morning. This is Pooja this side. I'm the part of a sales team. Today we have Nirav Sheth, CEO Institutional Equities. We welcome you on board, sir.
Thank you, Pooja.
Let's start. So, on the geographical front, while Ukraine has fizzled out, do you think the recent turn on the events in the Middle East could be the flashpoint to worry about?
No, I don't think so. At least in my 25 years of history, I've not seen, clear picture on geopolitical. Something keeps on happening all point of time. You need to figure out whether it has a significant material impact on the global economy. Obviously, I don't want to talk about the destruction at the humanity level. You can't even monetize that. But the question that if you simply try to figure out, does it impact the global economy, the developed economies, emerging economies, the answer is not much.
So, how is your outlook for the global markets and the domestic markets overall?
So we've been constructive for a while. What has really surprised me is the resilience of the US economy. So if you just look at the last payroll number that came out on Friday, they are very, very strong. Markets are now continuously pushing out the pace of the rate cuts in US. And even then the equity markets are holding up because the earnings are holding up, right? We just concluded a monetary policy today. The official estimates for RBI is 7% growth. Your tax revenues are growing. Your rupee has been stable for a year. You cannot ask for more. So, let's just keep the valuation aside. But we are very, very constructive on how the economy is going to plan out over the next 3, 4, 5 years. The political momentum is very strong. Right, so you need to be invested in equities.
In your recent interview, you have mentioned NIFTY heading to 24K in 2024. So we are already at 22K now. So do you see any calibration or a growth surprise down the line?
Well, I believe that this will be a gradual re-rating story. And one of the things that I continuously ponder is that if you are getting into a low inflation scenario, which is what we are trying very, very hard as RBI as an institution in terms of getting credibility to get into a low inflation regime. That essentially means that you will have, so you had a very vicious circle of, high inflation, rupee depreciating, that feeds into higher inflation and rupee depreciates. So we are getting out of that. That actually will reduce the risk premium of investing in the market. And now think of an FI investor who is sitting abroad. Used to look at a 10% dollar returns, you are building in 5% rupee depreciation, and suddenly that rupee depreciation is come down to 2%, and therefore you will bid up the stock prices, right? So I am open to the idea that the markets can run ahead of the fundamentals and can stay there because the long-term outlook is phenomenal.
So government has been on capex spree for several years now. So how do you see the impact showing up in the times to come?
So, everything the government does surprises me. So, it's not only capex, it is also the efficiency in terms of the way they are planning. So, earlier you always had a lot of patchwork as in, let's say you are constructing an expressway and then, the traffic builds up and therefore then you look for an alternate way. Now they are working backwards. They want to figure out what you want to be in 2047, what is the logistic cost that you want in 2047. Then you work backwards and figure out, what is an optimal road network, what is an optimal railway network, what is an optimal port network. In one of the conversations that I was having with the policymakers, they are of the view that in the next 20 years, you should not have any single city or village in India which cannot access expressway outside 80 kilometers. Right, so these are all dramatic improvements that you are going to look at, right? So, it's a long-term story, and all these things, the delta adds up over a period of time, and I think we are heading there. So, all of us were pained to realize what is the impact of GST, and now we are seeing that it has taken 4-5 years. India is 1.5 billion population, it's an elephant, it takes time to change around, but the change is happening.
The centre has proposed a new loan scheme for the state in the bid to drive performance-oriented spending. So do you see this working as effectively as PLI did for the manufacturers?
Well, we don't know. I think that even outside this, I believe that, the states are getting very competitive, right? So now we are seeing states talking about the fact that, they've got their sub targets of $1 trillion GDP. UP talks about it, Maharashtra talks about it. So, this is what we see all the time, that if you've got an effective leadership at the top, right, which is sort of, and there's a voting metrics, then people get very competitive, because ultimately, if you believe that the votes are being garnered by development, then the politicians are very, very smart to react to that, and therefore they'll be more developmental oriented. So I think we are sort of heading there.
What investing themes will be dominant in 2024?
Capex, we are very, very bullish on capex coming back. So I think the government is doing the work. You had 2-3 years of very solid profit growth, and that is a prerequisite for corporates to come back. So you've got PLI, which will start picking up, but more importantly, I think that what the market probably doesn't appreciate, that a lot of this capex is also led by climate change. You don't have an option, right, but to invest towards renewables and stuff like that. And then you're talking about electrification, now we are talking about AI and the impact that is got on data centers and all. So I think we'll see serious movement in capital expenditure, and this is not traditional steel, cement that will happen.
Yes.
But the contours of the capex is changing.
So you have been bullish in your outlook on earnings growth over the next 2 years. So which sectors do you think will give the best bang of the buck?
Well, see, when you got an economy growing at about 7%, eventually it's going to pull everything up. But the dominance will be infrastructure, dominance will be manufacturing, dominance will be few services like banking. So banking has not done well and we've gone wrong over there, I'll admit that. But I can't seem to, I get more bullish because, everything else is in place. Earnings are holding up well. There is minor concerns around deposit growth rate. It's a bit technical. I am not too worried about that. I will be cautious on companies where valuations over the last decade have gone to a different level, consumer companies and stuff like that. I think we'll see a mild derating, and outside that, I think most of the sectors will do well.
All right, sir. So just I'll ask you, you have to describe in a one word, like your view on the sectors. Let's start with auto.
Neutral.
IT.
Positive.
Cement.
Positive.
Engineering and the capital goods.
Super bullish.
Power.
Super bullish.
Hotels.
Super bullish.
Media and entertainment.
Neutral.
Telecom.
Negative.
FMCG.
Very negative.
Banking.
Very bullish.
And lastly, insurance.
Bullish.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you
for your insights.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. If you like our insight, please do like, share and subscribe. Thank you.